Today, I had the joy of speaking with and learning from couples therapist, author, and educator, Julie Menanno. Julie helps couples create lasting, loving attachment, what she calls secure love. She helps people understand attachment, break negative cycles, and build secure, lasting relationships. In an increasingly disconnected world, learning how to truly connect, communicate, feel seen in love matters now more than ever. Enjoy. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk Love. Today, I'm so excited about this conversation, Julie. I've got Julie Menanno. You are a trailblazing therapist, author, educator, and we're gonna be talking today about attachment theory and actually your
Yes.
book, which, Julie, I so enjoyed learning from you. Secure
I'm so
Love.
glad. Yes, thank you. I'm
This
glad
is
so glad to
this is
help.
an incredible, incredible book.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. That makes it all worth it.
Yeah, obviously I talk to a lot of therapists
Mhm,
and coaches, and we talk about love and relationships
mhm,
all the time. And I what I so appreciate, Julie, is your work is based on emotional focus therapy,
mhm.
right? And
Yes,
so it's like getting to the root of what really is like our human need for security
absolutely.
in our relationships. And I don't think we're really talking. I mean, you've got a million followers, so there's a lot of people that are following your work that are learning from you. But I really don't think that the majority of people really understand how important it is to have the security in our relationships.
Absolutely. It isn't, and even if they do kind of understand that conceptually, they don't really know what are the moving parts to that? What is that operationally? That's why I love
Exactly.
attachment theory. I think it's the closest science has come to really explaining in detail and in workable parts how relationships thrive and how they fail. And when we can kind of start seeing it through that lens, it gives us a much clearer picture of what we need to do to start shifting things.
Exactly. And so, Julie, in your book, you say that, you wrote it in the way that you would lead couples through this journey, right? Because it is a journey. This is not just about the towels being left on the floor or that,
Mhm.
somebody coming home late from work and just wanting to relax rather than help out with the kids or like those conflicts that seem to repeat, right?
Mhm.
It's not about just necessarily the argument itself. It's about what's underneath our human needs, understanding our attachment. Could you walk us through, like, in your practice when you're working with people, how you approach this so differently than other therapists?
Sure. And then, what I'm going to describe is as you mentioned, emotionally focused therapy for couples, which is very, those of us who practice it do so pretty consistently as far as like
Yeah.
what the process looks like. It's a pretty clear set of directions for lack of a better word. So what we do is we get the couple in and we first help them understand like give me an example of a fight, right? Give me an example of a fight that you just had about towels on the floor or where to put the keys or a parenting issue. And what we're going to quickly realize is that fight keeps happening over and over and over again, the same fight, regardless of what the content is, because we're really working with unmet attachment needs. Underneath the surface, we're working with this really foundational piece of relationships, which is what needs to happen, what needs need to be met for partners to feel safe and close to each other. And they need to be met consistently in the overall environment of the relationship as a kind of a felt sense. And they need to be met in moment to moment interactions. And if they go unmet in these interactions, it's probably going to create a rupture. And then we need to repair that rupture. And what happens is couples get in these fights and early on in the relationship, they're fine. They love each other and they're compatible and all these wonderful things that never stop being true. Right. But what happens is
Right.
that they start having these fights and then the unmet attachment needs start accumulating because they don't know how to avoid them in the way they're communicating around these topics and they don't know how to repair them. And so if you're in an argument with your partner and you've been dating for 5 months, you're having a great time, it's wonderful, and then bam, some conflict comes, and then all of a sudden, now we're getting into some real feelings, and a partner isn't validating those feelings. And instead of really hearing you, they're saying, well, you should see it differently, or, well, I'm not so bad, or, well, maybe you should just break up with me, or, this is because of your childhood. And so what that is it's emotional invalidation. That's just one
Hmm.
unmet need, right? Well, what happens when someone feels emotionally invalidated, especially if they're sensitive to it because of the environment they grew up in? They're going to get upset. Then they're going to protest back. And then, the other person's going to not know what to do with that protest. They're going to feel overwhelmed. They're going to now have unmet attachment needs around that. I'm not being heard. I'm not being understood. I'm not being appreciated here. Because then in their mind, they're just trying to make everything better. Right. And so then they get locked into these patterns. And the pattern that I just described, protest, defense, counterblame, more protest, upset, blame, deflection, getting logical, fighting about, trying to convince each other, and then ultimately kind of bam, shut down. Now we're distant from each other till we come back. But that pattern will just keep going. Usually couples will have one or two predominant cycles. So this is good because now we don't have to go through every single content and cure. How are you going to divide labor over the towels? Like, I want
Mm.
partners to get to that point. But the way we're going to get to that point is by figuring out how to get them speaking to each other safely. So
Yes.
attachment needs are being met. I'm being heard. I'm being understood. I'm being validated. I'm not just having my flaws presented to me without talking about what I'm getting right. I'm, not having to worry that because I'm getting it wrong, you're just going to abandon me or see me as a complete failure.
Right.
There's a few more. There's not that many attachment needs. They're very like core of human, the human existence kind of thing. We all need to feel safe and close to our partner. And they're pretty consistent ways to get there from human to human. And so anyway, once we can start addressing that, that's the root. That's the root of the problem is what is getting in the way when you guys interact and communicate of feeling safe and close. Because if enough is getting in the way, it's going to, one, get in the way of you being able to resolve your problems, and then you'll just indefinitely fight over the same thing. And then two, it's going to get in the way of your feeling close to each other and connection.
Yes.
So what I'm going to do to kind of circle all this back is I'm going to first help the couple see this, right? Just look, this is the pattern. This is the enemy. You guys aren't enemies. Okay.
I think to Julie, that is so hard to, we all know this, right? You love this person so much, but then you get into a disagreement or a conflict where you're just feeling like, I remember the last time I had a conflict with my partner and I just was like, you're not hearing me. You're not
Yeah.
seeing me. I need you to, I'm not using the word
Mhm.
validate, which, okay, now I've got the tools.
Yes.
But I'm like, I I just need you to understand, I know you're not the enemy, but holy shit, like you're not getting it, right? So it's just remembering you say the enemy is a negative cycle.
Mhm.
It's not your partner. As much as you're trying to just get to the same place, we have to remember your partner is not the enemy. It's the negative cycle, right?
Yes, it's how your partner is trying to communicate with you about their unmet needs and emotional needs for needs for emotional safety. And their communication, their ways that they're trying to reach you certainly can be the enemy. How they're trying to reach you and how they're trying to regulate their own emotions. Absolutely. But that's not the person behind the behavior. So if we can get
Right.
that behavior shifted, now we're going to get down to that person that you fell in love with. And the
Yes.
same is true in reverse. And then we have,
Yeah.
we also have self work to do, right? Because it's not
Mhm.
just how are we communicating with each other, it's what's the unresolved stuff within each of us that's contributing to the way that we're communicating with each other. So we also have to get that stuff stabilized.
So when it comes to our attachment needs, I know that I'm anxiously attached, but I
Sure.
would say that I'm, I say that because I know how I was in my childhood, and I believe I'm recognizing pretty well what my maladaptive behaviors were in the past. So I would say
Sure.
I'm secure. I'm a pretty secure person. I don't know if we ever outgrow our attachment, but I think,
Yeah,
and my
we
partner would.
do. We can heal. Yes,
Yes, my partner,
absolutely.
he admits that he's avoidant. It's not even an admission. It's like
Mhm.
he knows he's because of his experiences, he sways more towards avoidant. So in the first part of the book, Julie, you're helping people really recognize what your core needs are based on what we experienced in our childhood. Is that the way to explain it?
99% of the time, this stuff is going to go back to childhood. There,
Yeah.
what's going to happen is you're going to sort of your relationship template is going to be set when you're very a concentrated relationship as a child and parent, typically. And your brain is just forming rapidly. Your neural pathways are just forming rapidly. This is going to kind of get wired into you. Don't worry, that's not a death sentence. You can unwire, or you can unwire, but you can replace it with new wiring. And then, of course, as you grow, you can have societal influences coming in. And so what happens is that your attachment style is defined by the nature of your fears and relationships, plus the way you manage those fears. And so you're going to develop patterns around that early on. Now, then you get into adult relationships that are, problematic also, and you and the partner don't know how to work through that. Then your style is most likely going to be reinforced. So those relationships aren't going to make anything better at the very least, and will worsen them. Worst case scenario, you'll feel worse. You'll become more insecure because now you have
Mhm.
more reason to feel insecure.
So, what we want to do is identify what our core attachment needs are based on our
First,
childhood.
yes.
Is that right? That's the first
No,
thing we want to
based
do.
on just being human. And then we
Yes.
need to go back and figure out what needs went unmet most of the time, and how did we learn to cope with those unmet needs? And how did we learn to manage connection based on those needs not being met? So, how are we managing these fears, and how are we reaching for connection? And that is going to have a lot to do with the nature, what needs were going unmet most of the time, and why you had to learn, someone with an avoidant attachment, their emotional needs were not being met, right? Very early on. And so what happens is they just had to kind of, without even thinking about it, learn to not have needs. Like, if I don't
Yeah.
have needs, I won't get hurt. I won't get let down. I won't get ignored. I won't get shamed. I won't get punished. So better not have them. Better find other ways to feel connected. I'm going to be really successful. So I get approval. Approval feels like connect. It's better than no connection. It's
Mhm.
not real emotional, let's get to know each other kind of a thing, but it's at least a positive reflection. So a lot of people with avoidant, they're going to find activities to help them feel successful as a way to, you know, avoid the pain of their difficulty connection to whatever degree that is. And so we have to figure out, like, why did you have to learn to avoid your feelings? What was that all
Mhm.
about? Right? And so now we gotta get some words to that. We gotta get some words to these fears. Nobody ever helped you understand this. Nobody
Mhm.
ever saw you emotionally. And so now we have to figure out some new ways for you to deal with, first of all, we need to get you emotionally engaged because you did not learn how. You couldn't. It wasn't safe. So
Right.
your body just did what it was supposed to do, stay safe in this environment. Well, now you're in this relationship with this partner who has all these needs. You don't know what to do because you don't even know what to do with your own needs. So I'm going to help you figure out how to get to your own needs and how to manage them and talk about them and help them and be with them. And that's going to help you connect with you and have more to share. And it's also going to help you know how to show up for your partner's needs, because you cannot do that until you know your own.
Right. Wow.
And feelings, not just needs, feelings. Needs lead to feelings. Okay. So when needs are met, we feel good. And when needs are unmet, we feel bad, generally speaking. So when I say unmet needs, I'm also kind of attached to that is the emotional pain that stems from unmet needs, and the emotional warmth and safety and goodness that stems from met needs.
Right.
So if we can
S
get partners meeting, then they start to feel good. And then
Yes.
they start to behave better. And the more they behave better, the more they meet each other's needs. And the more the needs are met, and so it all just starts flowing and, feeding off of itself.
And what I've learned, and you do reinforce in your book, is just, I mean, it takes like shifts, it takes practice. You're not going to be amazing at this from the beginning,
No. Yeah.
right? But the more you are becoming more attuned to how you're feeling and being able to communicate that in a way that's like, I think that's one of the hardest things I find.
Mhm.
It's like, because I want to be careful. I want to be conscious of the words I'm using
Yeah.
without blame, without and trying to, you say, like, it's not just all about the I statements and using it's like, how do
Right.
you get way into what
Yes.
your needs are, right?
That is my biggest strength right there. If you were going to name what I have to offer more than anything else, it's how to get in there and figure out what is there to begin with, because you're right. There's no amount of words that you can use to talk about something you don't know about. You can try, and it's better than not trying. And sometimes in trying to formulate the words, you start to figure it out. I don't want to leave anybody not trying. It's better to try, as I've said 1,000 times now. But we have to dive in there and figure out what's going on to begin with. That's why I do the podcast right there, because it's one thing to give people the instruction manual, but I work with a real couple for 20 sessions. I'm on season 2 right now, and I'm doing that work. I am helping them and the audience learn how to really get in there and figure out what's going on. And then we get the words to share, right? What's happening in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you say, as an anxious partner, you have a desperate need for love and reassurance,
Yes.
right? And so it comes to, like, I know one of my core needs is prioritization. I want to feel like
Mhm.
I am a priority. I didn't realize that, it's all this work I've been doing that you
Mhm.
realize, okay, and I want to feel validated,
Yes.
right? And so it's like good for me. Like, once you figure that out for yourself, you can communicate that to your partner,
Mhm.
right? Like, what would be ways that, like, even before there's a conflict, do you recommend that, Julie? Just to be like, okay, this is what I've discovered about myself. Sitting down with your partner
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
saying, this is the way it was when I was little, and this is how I,
Yes.
behaved then, and this is how I believe in our partnership. This is what I need from you. How would you best?
Yes.
How would you recommend you communicate that to your
Okay,
partner?
so first you're gonna front load it, which is what I just said. You're gonna talk about it when it's not being triggered, which is,
Right.
this is a thing for me. My whole life, I felt like I was
Yes.
put on the back burner and it hurt. It was so bad. And on top of the hurt, I didn't have words for the hurt. Nobody was there to help me with the hurt. I mean, wouldn't it have been nice if you could go to your mom and say, Mom, I don't feel important right now? And your mom would say, Oh my gosh, okay, tell me more. Well, let's figure out what we can do to help you feel more important, or let me just comfort you, whatever. My whole life, I longed to feel like number one. And I'm inviting you in to help me with that, because I chose you to be the one to help me with that. And I want you
Oh,
to feel
Julie, that's
successful in
good.
this relationship.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. And I want you to feel successful. And here's a way to do it. Wouldn't it be
Right.
great and so you're not phrasing it as you don't do enough and here's this box I need checked. You're like feeding them you, right? And it opens up their attachment giving system. And so from there, now we have had this conversation to kind of set the stage. Like, this is what I want to work on. Okay, so now we're going to assume your partner is going to fail you there, because that's what we do. We fail each other. We have ruptures, right?
We're humans. Yeah.
Yeah, your partner's at some point you're going to feel deprioritized, whether it's their failing or just something in you that got triggered. And so that's when you go and you say, "Look, remember we talked about this." Right? And so this is kind of one of those moments. I'm not blaming you, didn't do anything wrong, but this is kind of one of those moments where I get the message. And I know this topic is hard for us. It's hard to talk about where we kind of let each other down, but because that hasn't always gone well in the past. But if I don't bring it up, then I'm going to feel alone with it. And
Right.
hopefully they're open to that and they're able to stay with you, because I will have taught them that. That's what I do. And they are able to kind of lean in and not get defensive and not go, well, I wasn't trying to, or, I didn't mean to, or you're just seeing it wrong, or I don't want to be responsible for your childhood wounds, right? So instead, they're able to kind of lean in and go, okay, tell me more. All right. So when I, said I was going to call and I didn't, that took you to the worst place possible, which is, oh my God, I'm not being prioritized. No wonder you felt bad. I get that. And I
Mhm.
want to help protect you from that in the future. So here's, I'm willing to shift for you. And it's not always that simple. Sometimes it's not. You can push a button and I can meet that need, because I also have my own stuff going on sometimes. There are times when I'm going to be so focused on the project. And part of what helps me feel okay is knowing that I'm on top of this stuff. So how can we work together here? We both know it's kind of like you have a need for reassurance that you're a priority right over here. And then they have a need to not have to constantly put whatever's going on with them on the side. to not just, be a robot or whatever, right? Do you understand what I'm saying here?
Oh, for sure.
Um, yeah, and so we have both of those needs. If we lean too heavily into one, and it's always about your need for reassurance, that's going to be a problem. If we lean too heavy into the other, which is they should never have to come your way and move in toward you, then we have another problem. So it's kind of like we're always balancing this place that has this like perfect tension. And we just have to figure out how to talk about it in a way that first doesn't make it worse. We're hearing each other, we're understanding each other. And then two, I've seen so over and over and over again, just getting couples speaking to each other in this way and really leading with vulnerability and sometimes healthy assertion, that the problems just start to sort of dissolve on their
Right.
own, and
Yeah.
then you start to get rid of all these little things. It's like your work there might be if your partner doesn't call you back, you just have this felt reassurance that you're the priority because if you reach to them, they're going to lean in and talk to you about it. So you don't need to anymore. Or
Right.
they're sitting there doing their work and they remember, oh, this is one of those moments where, yes, I'm really involved in this project, but I know my partner, I want to help protect them from feeling like not a priority. Not,
Yeah.
oh, they're going to be mad at me and I better reach out. It's I want to help my partner protect them from this wounded place because I love them. And then to make even it more trickier, you're also responsible for healing some of those wounds and doing your self work. So lots going on there.
Lots going on there. And
Yeah.
if you've got a partner that is willing to do the work, it can work out beautifully. Like really, you can grow
Yes,
together. This
absolutely.
is
Yes.
with the last conflict that we had, we couldn't get out of the negative cycle as much as we tried. Like we were really working it, Julie. I'm telling you, just like, okay, let's come at it this way or this way, and like
Sure.
take a day break, okay, and then come back to it. But we ended up having a session with a couples therapist. Thank goodness, because he was able to be that middle person to walk us through and come to the core need that we were having a hard time communicating to each other or
Yep.
didn't know, and now we know, right?
Beautiful.
So this is where conflict, I'm not as much as it's so painful sometimes, I realize that if you're with a partner that is willing to do it with you, it's like you can come out knowing each other better and healing. I mean, really,
Absolutely.
that's the
Yeah.
thing, right?
It absolutely. Absolutely. It's just, you're getting to know yourself and you're getting to know each other. And from that, you're learning better communication skills. And then as you learn the
Yes.
better skills, you get to know each other better because part of the skills are being vulnerable. And so again, it just all starts to feed on itself. And I love that you were both in that and willing and even just trying to get out of the cycle is a new cycle.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's what people don't recognize is even failed attempts are better than no attempt. That is a movement in another direction. I always tell people, look, if you're doing anything new at the beginning of this work, that's growth. At least we're getting you unstuck. We'll fine tune it as we go, but at least we're getting you unstuck from the rigidity of the old pattern.
Yes, absolutely. Can you talk more about vulnerability? You mentioned it, Julie,
Sure.
because there's a difference between complaining,
Mhm.
over like what would you define as like true vulnerability? Like how, right? Because and how important it is.
Okay, so I'll give an example. You left the keys out again. You know how anxious that makes me. You know how important it is for me to keep the house organized. Like, why won't you just listen? It hurts my feelings. It makes me sad when you don't listen. That's not so much vulnerability, right? I mean, we're kind of touching on talking about some
Yeah.
feelings, but you're not really invulnerable. Those words are protest words. You're trying to motivate your partner to change rather than really digging in and sharing yourself with them as a way to open them up to wanting to help you. And so the vulnerable thing to say there, and this does take some skill. Remember, we have to be able to figure out what the vulnerability is to begin with. The
Yeah.
vulnerability is, listen, I know you have your own stuff going on. First, you want to kind of lean into them, create some safety. I know you're not just purposefully coming in and throwing the keys down. Like I know that isn't where your heart is, right? But what happens for me is I'm, really working hard to keep on top of things. I mean, it helps me feel safe inside when I've got all these things going on, just to know, the keys are taken care of and I don't have that one thing to pick up. But you know what? What's really important to me right now is just to know you care about that. Because what's
Mm,
worse than not having the keys put away is feeling like maybe you don't see that, maybe you don't care, and then I just feel all alone with it. So if nothing else, can you just help me know right now that you understand where I'm coming from and that I'm not just trying to randomly attack you, that this actually has some meaning for me? And that is, I mean, you can probably feel your heart open to that just as I speak those words. Like it opens people, and especially if they're, doing the work too to help themselves get open. And it invites them in to help. And your partner really is far more likely to remember the keys when they see that, and remember to put them away when they see those keys, and they say, instead of saying them to themselves, well, I don't want them to be mad, or just kind of not really noticing, they're able to kind of remember that felt experience of, well, I don't want my partner to feel alone. I don't like to feel alone in things. So that's just one example of the difference between the two. One is just truly sharing who you are, and the other one is really just trying to motivate them to change. And
right.
if it is going to change, it is going to come from empathy, not fear. I mean,
It's going to
I'm
come from
there.
empathy, not fear.
Yes, and there is some truth to sometimes if you're saying, "Look, we have to go to therapy or I'm not going to stay in this relationship." I mean, there's fear involved there, but it's not sustainable, right? Let me say this, sustainable change only comes from empathy
Wow. I love
in
that.
close relationships. I mean, that's what they're meant to be, right?
Right.
So
I like
how's
how you,
one partner inspiring empathy, and how is the other partner responding to empathy? That's really the crux of it.
right. That's something that in this last fight we had, it was like, that's what I was needing. And I needed empathy. And now my partner knows that, it's like, okay. And he's like, okay. Because he's avoidant and there was a lot of stuffing down his feelings or maybe not
Mhm.
feeling them at all. He's like, I have to learn that. This is a skill that I can learn. And I'm like, okay. Like it's amazing,
Beautiful.
really.
Right.
Like,
That you're
wow.
lucky. That's great. I mean,
I'm extremely
yeah,
lucky. I,
you
I
are.
know this. I know this.
Yeah.
I do. You say,
I don't yeah, I mean,
um,
that's beautiful.
you can learn to be empathetic, right, Julie?
We all are already. It's just
Yeah.
it's how much fear is blocking it. That's
How much fear
the
is blocking our
Yeah.
empathy?
How much fear is blocking it, and how much of your inability to communicate it is blocking it. But I've never worked with anyone that I was able to, let me just say in that example that I shared, where the partner's kind of feeling alone, unheard, misunderstood. I mean, there's no human that you can't help figure out. I in life have felt misunderstood. It felt bad. I in life have felt alone or ignored in something. It felt bad. When you can get them into that, there's all you need for empathy. I know what alone feels like. It's just that if that person is so cut off from their own experience, it's impossible. They're not able to feel them. They're definitely not going to be able to feel you.
Mm, yeah. Wow. You say, when it comes to vulnerability, unless they involve stepping out of one's comfort zone for the greater good, they're
Mhm.
venting, not being vulnerable.
Mhm.
So it's stepping out of your own comfort zone for the greater good. I've never heard
Mhm.
that said before. That's profound,
Mhm.
really. Wow.
Yeah. What does that mean to you?
I guess it means, when you think about the greater good, this isn't just for me. I'm not saying
Mhm.
this for just my own well-being. I'm doing this for us. Like this is our
Yes.
bridge. I really want to meet you here, right? And it's for us. It's for the highest good. It's for our relationship,
Yes.
right?
So
That's
true. So true. I like to say it like this too. Like when I have someone do something in a relationship, whether it's be vulnerable or if they're talking about, well, I'm going to protest. That's the only way I can be heard.
hmm,
Then I'm going to invite them to, okay, let's just talk about the impact, right? What's the impact on you? What's the impact on your partner? And what's the impact on your relationship? And if someone is not doing things that are working in their relationship, it's guaranteed that that's out of balance. Some people won't speak up because they don't want to harm the relationship. They'll leave me if I speak up. Okay, so they're prioritizing the relationship over self. That's
over
not healthy.
themselves. No.
Yes, some people are gonna protest because they just need to get the need met urgently. I'm gonna protest because I need it met yesterday, right? So
Yep.
now what they're doing is they're prioritizing themselves over their partner's experience. Maybe they're saying mean things to their partner. Maybe they're just not seeing what their partner is getting right or whatever it is, and now their partner is suffering. And
Right.
then, sometimes we have people who don't wanna hurt their partner's feelings. So they're gonna not bring things up. I don't wanna hurt their feelings. I don't wanna make them sad. I won't like how I feel if I do that. So now they're prioritizing their partner's needs over their own needs. So we just need to, like you said, the greater good is when all those 3 things align.
Yes.
I'm doing what's best for me so I can feel good about the way I'm communicating. I'm doing what's best for my partner because I'm not just randomly triggering them or trying to make them feel shameful. And I'm doing what's best for the relationship because that's what health does, is it helps relationships become more healthy.
Right. And, you start the book that way, Julie, on talking about, we talk about what a healthy relationship is, but
Uh-huh.
what we want to do is reframe that as a secure relationship, a secure partnership. So, what does that look like? Can we just talk about what does a secure relationship look like? So we can
Okay, so
understand the difference.
let's go back to your situation where you wanted to feel prioritized, right? Okay,
I
so
think
what that looks
validated
like.
was more anything, but yes. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do validated then. So overall, in the big picture of the relationship, you need to know that my partner, generally speaking, really does understand and make space for my emotions. If I go to them, they're going to be there for me, right?
Yes.
The reason I can reasonably assume they're going to be there, they're going to show up, they're going to want to understand, and they're going to say, hey, that makes sense to me. Okay, so
Hmm.
I kind of have this knowledge, this felt sense. Now we go to a moment where there's a rupture, where your partner is not validating you. They're stepping out of their norm because they're triggered or they've got whatever they've got going on. They're busy, they're tired. I mean, we're always having good
Hmm.
reasons to not be our best selves. So they don't validate you. They say, you're just being irrational, right? Now we have a rupture. And so a secure relationship, first of all, sorry, the overall climate that I described, that's a part of security. But now we have a rupture. And in that rupture, what security looks like is, hey, listen, I just want to let you know, I know you're tired and stuff, but you know how I need emotional validation. So do you. And I wasn't feeling it just then. So can we do something here? Can we try this again? Whatever it is, both partners are able to repair in a way that doesn't start destructing this overall relationship. Because if there's enough experiences of unrepaired ruptures, the climate starts to get really bad. And so,
Yes.
A, we have a healthy climate, and B, we have healthy interactions that have met attachment needs that are consistent and repetitive and sustaining that environment.
Right.
It's like I said, in the book, we look at San Diego, right? It's got this, one of the greatest climates. There's not a lot of rain. It's just temperate. It feels good, right? It's, for lack of a better word, securely attached. Okay, and then we have, let's say it's all of a sudden climate change happens and, every now and then it rains in San Diego and sometimes they have big storms, right? But everybody in San Diego knows they will get back to their good climate.
Right.
Nobody has to worry,
Yeah.
right? We're going back to it. Don't worry. Well, then we have some climate change come along or whatever, and all of a sudden it's just storming all the time. At some
Hmm.
point, people are going to go, I don't know if I wanna live here anymore, like, it rains too much here. There is going to be that shifting point, and that's what happens with couples is we start off with this beautiful our needs are met, and then all of a sudden, we start having these ruptures that aren't repaired, and then that starts to affect the environment, and when the environment starts to feel unsafe, we're more sensitive, we have a hard time regulating ourselves through ruptures because not only is it the rupture feels bad in the moment, and I'm afraid it's going to keep happening.
Wow. Julie, the way that you
Yeah.
explain that is just so good because,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, the repair from the rupture is so important
So, so, so important. So
because
important.
otherwise it's like I can
Yeah.
see it like the way I was visualizing as you were speaking. It's like your foundation is
Mhm.
just if you're not making that foundation strong, like
Mhm. Yeah.
and you're not fixing those ruptures, like, your foundation's is getting shakier and shakier and less stable and less stable. It makes perfect sense.
Absolutely. And
Wow.
and a lot of people too, they think, "Well, this is so much work. Like, I don't wanna have to go through every little thing." And it really isn't. It's actually less work because secure couples can tolerate ruptures and have, like, what I call implied repairs, where you're able to go in yourself and you're able to say, "Oh my gosh, I know my partner's having a bad day. It's not about they're just not wanting to validate me," right? Sometimes you need to reach out, but sometimes you can soothe yourself because you have the security of the relationship to be a resource for you in that moment. And so you don't really have to deal with every little thing, but then at the same time, all the little things stop happening to begin with.
Yeah.
So, we're
Can we
just
talk about
skipping the
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
tipping the scales, yeah. We're just
Tipping the
constantly,
scales.
yeah.
Can we talk about influence versus control? Like you say, in a healthy relationship, you mutually influence each other naturally,
Mhm,
right? Because
mhm,
I want my partner's opinions on things. I mean, if I've got something that I'm struggling with,
mhm,
I'm like, can you please give me advice? I need your help because he's so smart and he always
mhm.
gives me the most amazing advice. Really, I always follow his advice because he always give me the really, I'm just like, so I
Great, yeah.
trust him in that he'll give me the best advice versus control.
Okay. Okay, well, so with your partner, what can you give me an example of something that you just really trust his advice?
I would say for sure when it comes to my kids, when it comes to parenting
Mhm,
stuff, and I'm like, this is what's going on right now with one of my daughters. And,
mhm,
and he'll be like, well, have you looked at it this way? Have you approached
mhm,
it this way? What do you think about this? Like, he's very, very good at seeing he could put himself in other people's shoes and be like,
mhm,
maybe she's thinking about it this way. And I'm like, oh,
mm.
good. Thank you. It's just this other
Okay,
perspective that seems wider sometimes, right? Yeah.
that's beautiful. And so the way that he sort of presents that information to you is, "Here's some suggestions. Here's the way I see it."
Right.
And you feel like he's a team member, right? You feel like he's got this wisdom, and then your brain kind of sorts through what he's saying, kind of mixes in some of your own stuff, and you're open to him. You're open to his feedback. It doesn't mean you might, in every situation, do things exactly the way he says. That tells me, because of the way your nervous system responds, that he is in a place of influence. He's just sharing with you. He's just trying to help you out. He's being a good teammate. Now, if he's in a state of control, he's in a state of fear, which is he's going, "Oh my God, she's doing it all wrong, or she wants my help. And if I don't give her the right answers, I'm going to be a failure as a dad." And so he's going to come at it from fear, which is you got to do it differently. You got to pull it together. You shouldn't let them trigger you like that. That's your stuff, right? And here's what you have to do. So in that situation, what he's really trying to do is get you to change so he doesn't have to feel bad. And that's the control part. And so your body feels the difference. Your body will absolutely feel the difference between someone trying to control and someone wanting to influence. So when we're in the driver's seat as far as like are we trying to control someone, are we trying to influence someone? I mean, the distinguishing factor is how scared are you? And if you're scared and you're acting out that scared, you're going to be coming from just need to get you to change so this bad thing that I fear doesn't happen. And if you're in influence, you're going, you know what, we're safe. It's not, this is how problems get resolved. We need patience. We need time. You kind of have a realistic idea about, you're not just kind of scared in the world, right? And so you're able to just kind of put things out there, but you're not so married to the result.
Wow. Well, we're out of time, Julie. It went by so fast, but
It did.
I love your work. I mean, there's a say. My friend Buddy, my new friend Buddy, says this. I just love it. He says, "Cream rises to the top," and there's a reason why you've got 1 million
Aw.
followers, and you're doing tremendous work. And like, I can the value
Yeah.
is huge. So thank you so much,
Well,
Julie, for
thank
being with
you.
us
Deeply
and for
appreciate it. It's
teaching
been
and
wonderful.
sharing your wisdom with us today. I hope everybody reads your
Yeah.
book. It's like, it's right up there. I mean, really, Hold Me Tight. I mean, this is the work of
Yeah.
Dr. Sue Johnson.
Yeah.
It's your work.
Yeah.
And
It comes from her. It's her
this is
lineage.
getting to the core of our human needs. And that's how we connect is from that humanness inside of us, right? We all just want to feel.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we've lost the art, and we need to get it
We
back.
have lost it.
Yeah, we need
Julie,
to
we've
get it back.
lost it. Getting
You
back
know,
to it.
people
And
are hungry enough for it. This is the time. It's coming.
this is the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you, Julie. I'm going to
So
close with a blessing
okay,
based on the learnings from this week through you. So thank you.
beautiful. You're
May
very welcome.
we remember during conflict and disagreements that our partner is not the enemy. The negative cycle is. May we
Yeah,
practice new ways of being by taking a pause, tuning into our own emotional needs, and attuning to our partner's needs to get to the root of what we need from each other in order to feel secure again. And may we remember that we all have a deep human need to feel seen, heard, and valued. May we be the change that we want to see. If we want to understand, if we want understanding, may we understand. If we want curiosity, may we be curious. And when we want to be heard, may we listen. So thank you, Julie Menanno.
beautiful. Well, that's the best ending I've ever had. Thank you for that. That gave me chills. That was so
Oh,
sweet.
yay. Good.
Yeah, so sweet. I almost
I
wanna
hope
do
we
sign of
remember
the
it. May
cross
we
'cause
remember it.
Okay, well, thank you so much. This was great.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
take care.
Thank you so much for being here with us. Let's Talk Love is brought to you by Real Love Ready and hosted by Robin Ducharme. If you'd like to keep learning with us, visit realloveready.com for more resources and tools to boost your relational skills and get better at love. If this podcast has resonated with you, it would mean the world to us if you could take just 30 seconds to do these 3 things. Follow or subscribe. Never miss an episode by hitting the follow or subscribe button wherever you listen to your podcasts, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite app. This makes sure new episodes show up automatically for you, and it helps us get more visibility so more people can find our show. Leave a rating and review. Your feedback means everything to us. By leaving a 5-star rating and a thoughtful review, you're not only showing your support, but also helping others discover the podcast. Share an episode that really spoke to you with someone in your life, whether it's a friend, partner, or family member. Your recommendation could just be what they need to hear. We at Real Love Ready acknowledge and express gratitude for the Coast Salish people, the stewards of the land on which we work and play, and encourage you to take a moment to acknowledge and express gratitude for those that have stewarded and continue to steward the land that you live on as well. Many blessings and much love.